Hey, this is Bent Yu-Gi-Oh card, and the September 1st, 2010 Yu-Gi-Oh Limited / Forbidden list. First off, obviously, we'll start with banned. So they went with Rescue Cat. Obvious choice. It was kind of a big wreck, and with the new support, it's just going to go even crazier. And then banned Heavy Storm. I really like this. People kind of stopped running it anyway because of Starlight Road. And I always said if they banned Heavy Storm, they could put MST at 2 and it would be a very good thing. And later on, we'll see if they do that. But they also banned Substitute. Substitute, obviously, its effect is too good. I knew as soon as it became a useful effect, it would get banned at some point. The next card is Brain Control. Brain Control, I really like this choice, just because it can top deck for game most of the time. You can take their monster, use their monster's effect, and then attack with it. It's just too broken of a card to still have in a format. But I'm glad they dropped it. At the same time, here goes Restricted. Now, as far as Restricted goes, they hit Black Whirlwind. I believe they hit Black Whirlwind because Black Wings have the potential to be tier 1, and had they hit every other deck, they would automatically be broken. And also in Japan, they're really sick in Japan, so that's probably why it got hit so quick. And then Royal Oppression is now at 1. That I like that just because cards like that are just really good and they don't really need to sit at 2 or 3 like they had been. It's just finally people realize this card's just like Imperial Order was back in the day. You control when you play it, and cards like Trapstone shut it off. It's just a very good card, so they needed to get rid of it anyway. Now, 2 cards that are probably going to make the biggest stink. Also, Infernity Launcher went to 1. I guess they're just trying to hit Infernities early. They didn't really want Infernities to run like they had been running, so they're going to, you can still play Infernities, but it's not going to be the same kind of Infernity deck that was the crazy loop type. But also, they put Monster Reborn and Dark Hole at 1. Now, I think this is a very good thing. Dark Hole punishes people who overextend, and Monster Reborn punishes people who use Graveyard as an advantage. This is a good way to stop your opponent's Graveyard effects and things like that. You just take their monster and they can't use it against you. It also helps you out. I mean, both these cards are going to be used in every deck, so it's going to be fair in the fact that everybody has these. Heavy Storm being banned kind of made Starlight Road a dead card, so they brought, obviously I think they just brought Dark Hole back to make that a power play again. So don't stop running. I mean, I myself would stop running Starlight Road just because I'm not going to overextend. I'm not going to have 2 or 3 monsters on the field at any given time. Maybe 2, but most of the time 1. If I have more than 2, I most likely have already won the game. So that's why that's good. Semi-limited, MST to 2. This is a very good idea, and I guess people are rejoicing since Starlight Road exists. People were almost not playing Heavy Storm anyway, just because they didn't want to get Starlight Road at early game. So two MSTs, Mystical Space Typhoon, that is just going to be very good in the game. You're still going to have to worry about double setting, or you're not going to worry about having to set a bunch, just because MST, it can only hit one thing, so you can set as much as you want now, but it's going to be more about poker, how you set, where you set, and different things. You're going to have to think everything out more. Chaos Sorcerer back at 2. It goes from 1 to 2 to 1 to 2. I don't know, but it's going to be back at 2 again. It's actually going to give those light and dark decks a boost. Snipe Hunter is also at 2. I guess they didn't want to go all the way and just go Snipe Hunter at 3, which I don't think would be bad either. But yeah, Snipe Hunter, I don't see it being played too much. One of my favorite cards, though, going back to 2, Ojama Trio. I really like that card. It's fun to use in different decks, different scenarios, strategies you can run it with. I really like that card. But now that Synchroing exists, it's not as crazy. And another card I really like going to, Magic Cylinder. Now that Magic Cylinder is at 2, people are going to have to rethink their attacks, because at 1 it's not so viable. People aren't going to really care. But at 2, people might actually start running it because there's a lot you can do with 2, because that's a pretty big deficit of damage done just by having 2 of those. Black Rose, on unrestricted can have 3 copies of now. This is the biggest push to 3 copies I've seen in almost any ban list ever. Black Rose Dragon at 3. I never really thought it should have been at 1. I don't know about you. I never Black Rose more than once in a game anyway. I guess they thought just the ability to Black Rose more than once. But if you Black Rose, you normally leave your field empty. Black Rose is a last resort option to try to push for a kind of top deck scenario for both you and your opponent top decking. So I don't see it as a card that anybody would run more than 1 anyway. I was only running 1 to begin with. I don't know why they ever put it at 1, but it's back at 3. Big card right here, Cyber Dragon at 3. Cyber Dragon, I mean, this card is probably one of my favorite cards in the game because they finally made the game fast-paced enough for this card to come back at 3. I like that it's going back to 3. You can end up finally making Cyber Dragon decks, which they put a lot of support out for. I don't see Cyber Dragon being used for that purpose, but it is a very good card nonetheless. They didn't really hit Machina that hard on this list. They didn't hit it really at all, except for maybe Oppression. But it helps you against Machina. So that's a really good idea. I really like that. And it also helps Machina a little bit too. Here's a push for zombies. Goblin Zombie at 3. I really like that. It actually gives zombies a little bit more work they can work with. And then this is something I thought of too. Treeborn is at 3. Treeborn Frog, if it's at 2, it might as well be at 3 because at 2 it's just like being at 3. There's no reason to have it at 2. It's either 1 or 3 in my opinion. And then because the card limits itself. It limits itself in its own effect, so there's no reason for it to matter. Now, you know how do we stand at 3? This makes Iados decks actually pretty good because, in my opinion, United We Stand is the only equip card, maybe Mage Power you would run in any equip deck, but United We Stand actually makes equip decks more viable in Iados decks. Royal Decree at 3, I did not see this coming. Royal Decree seemed to be too good at 3 anyway, but bring it back. We're going to have a bunch of those Perfect Herald decks that didn't even get touched by this list coming back and owning early format possibly. But yeah, that is the complete list and my thoughts on it. So this has been Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. Peace. This video's comment question is, what was your favorite card or what was your favorite change on the list? Post your comment below.